Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Underneath the Hood. I'm Dave Martin, the owner of Martin's Auto Repair in Central Phoenix.
I'm Glen Hayward, the proud owner of Goodworks Auto Repair in sunny Tempe, Arizona.
And I'm Lee Weatherby with Accurate Automotive in the heart of Mesa.
And together, we represent 140 years of combined automotive experience.
Our goal is to change the perception of our auto repair industry by going behind the scenes and underneath the hood.
And we hope to share with you what it's like to own a small business and give you a perspective from an insider's point of view.
So let's get started.
Hey, good morning, guys. What's going on?
Dave, good morning. So good to be with you guys again. Lee, what's going on, man?
Good morning, man. You know what? You guys look exceptionally well this morning. I know my glasses got to be fogged because...
We look too good?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Like, well, I want to get your eyes checked.
Yeah, I got it. Well, I do got to clean them.
Yeah, he does.
Well, we want to welcome everybody to Underneath the Hood, our podcast here. And today, let's start out with on this day.
On this day in history, June 9th, 2006, Pixar's movie Cars was released in the U.S. theaters, being beyond a hit movie. It became a cultural touchstone for automotive enthusiasts. It famously paid homage to Route 66 right here in sunny Arizona, and the history of the American highway system, sparking massive resurgence and interest in older classic cars and the nostalgia of driving Route 66. So there you go. And we're blessed to be in a state with Route 66. It is a historic. For any of you out there who've ever gone to Route 66 and, you know, what's the rock group that did the song of it? Running down the road, trying to reload
I don't know, man. I'm thinking of the Eagles in Winslow,
It was the
Arizona.
Eagles, yeah, Winslow, Arizona, yeah. Well, that's how the song starts. So, yes, the Eagles. There we go. Right. I just had a brain fart there for a minute, but yeah.
Yeah, that's that Route 66, and there used to be all kinds of places where they used to have car shows and all kinds of things.
You know what, though? Yeah. If you get a chance to go drive it, it is really pretty cool. Up by Seligman and all that area up in there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just tell you, it's fascinating. And, I mean, if you think about it, have you guys ever been to the theme park? No, I have my grandbaby. So, you know, you go out to Disney and they got, it's Materville.
Yeah.
And it's pretty cool. And I will just tell you what, it is so dang fun. But you know what? It's fascinating that, you know, the things that, you know, cars are part of our lives. You know what I mean? It's we, you know, in particular, you know what I mean, enjoy being around them. We're enthusiasts of them, you know, and then most of society, you know, we use them as tools. They drive them, you know what I mean? But man, to see something, you know, fun, you know, made up about it, and then taking you back to what we're going to call the old roots, you know what I mean, of automobiles and Route 66, pretty cool. Really, really
cool.
Cool.
Those road trips are always a lot of fun. You know, I tell you, when my father-in-law was alive, we used to go on road trips all the time, and he used to be so funny because he would get me on these roads, and he knew them all because he used to drive them years ago, and he'd get me on these roads, and I go, "This road is terrible." And he goes, "You want?" I go, "You want the?" He goes, "You want the?"
And you were in the back seat.
No, I was driving. And I tell him, I go, "These roads are terrible. Where do you find these things?" He goes, "You want the good news or the bad news?" He goes, "The good news is that you're halfway through. The bad news is the road gets worse." I'm like,
just wait till you see what's coming.
Yeah, I'm like, really? So, but we used to have a lot of fun. We used to go on those road trips, and it was a lot of fun. And you know, you watch those movies like National Lampoon Vacation.
Oh yeah, Family Vacation. Well, it always involved a road trip.
They're always the best, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things don't always go right, but they are fun.
Well, moving forward, Lee, you've got a quote of the day.
I do. It's going to be, and you know, the fun thing is I really love, you know, how Olivia picks this stuff because it's so apropos to what our topic is. And the quote of the day: adventure. You guys, I love a new adventure. Life's an adventure, right?
Right.
Adventure is just bad planning that survived.
Bad planning that survived. Well, I got to ponder that for a second. Yeah. That's spot on.
That is spot on. Thinking, okay. But it takes us right into our topic, you know what I mean? Which is, you know, what happens when, you know what I mean, something occurs on the road when unexpectedly. We break down. We have a flat. We have a battery that goes dead. Car dies while we're driving.
Check engine light comes on and starts flashing.
We'll get a rock pops up and hits the windshield. A big commercial that comes out, and dad and daughter driving, and all of a sudden, what do I do?
Nothing ruins your road trip
Oh.
quicker than having a car problem.
No
and
question.
especially if you got a bunch of kids in the car.
No
Holy
question.
crud, on the side of the road. And did you know roughly 83% of the Americans say they plan to take a road trip at some point in 2026?
But see, I think that's awesome.
But according to NACS, so there's going to be, and you look at the airlines and you look at Spirit went out and just some things that happened, and traveling can be a challenge.
You bet.
And even
Well, it takes good planning.
Right, it takes good planning. But when you're at an airport, you have no control.
Right.
Whatever happens there, happens there. At least when you're on a road trip, you have a little bit more control of
Right.
what's going on. And so there is a lot of people that are planning to get in the car and go for the road trips. And not to mention the expense of an airline. If there's just a couple of you or one of you maybe, jumping on a plane is not a bad idea. But when you've got a family of, your whole family, 5, 6, 7, 8 people.
Or even 4.
Getting on a plane is not an easy process. And
No.
dealing with the kids and doing all that stuff. So sometimes the road trips, and they are fun. You get to spend a lot of quality time with your family, whether you like it or not.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
But to your guys'
Quality time stranded on the side of the road.
Well,
Sign me up for that.
kids screaming, every's bad. That's funny.
But the real key is it is an adventure, and it's an obstacle to be overcome. And here's the thing: we should probably throw some tips out on what happens if, because listen, it's inevitable that something will happen at some point in time. You know what I mean? I don't think. I can tell you, I'd never really experienced a flat tire before. A road trip one time. Kelly and I were coming back from California, and at the time we had my Suburban, which was a pretty big vehicle. And I hate to say it, I'm probably like most drivers out there, but I'm driving at 80, 85 miles an hour. I'm keeping up with traffic. I'm generally, in the left couple lanes and going down, and all of a sudden, bam, boom, 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 and it just, absolutely scares
Woke you up?
the daylight out of you. Exactly. It's like, thanks. Did we hit somebody?
Go need a cup of coffee now.
No.
Well, but that'll get your blood pumping quicker and snot. And and we all have those stories when we've been on road trips. I remember being on a road trip with my father-in-law. Like, him and I took a lot of road trips. And coming back, we were heading back into town on the freeway, and all of a sudden, tire goes flat, and changing it on the side of the road. And changing it on the side of the road, my experience with changing that tire on the side of the road was, it is dangerous.
Oh no, there's so much anxiety that comes along with it.
Well, and
how do I get off the road in the first place? People aren't necessarily letting you over, even though you got your blinker
at 80
on.
miles an hour, and the car that you're trying to put up on a jack is waving back and forth from the wind.
From the wind.
Semi-trucks going 80 miles an hour past you,
Well, see, and you guys, this is the exact first point that we should be making.
Well,
when something like that happens, you've got to get to a safe area, and that's not the safety lane over on the left side of the freeway if you happen to be on a highway. It is definitely over to the right, but man, if you can get off of the freeway, because here's the thing. I'd rather tear up a rim, you know what I mean, and have to have that expense
Than get killed.
Than risk, life and limb and everything else by getting off to the side. Because in some cases, just try to find some even ground where you maybe be able to place a jack or something.
The thing that the experience that I had on the side of the freeway when I was changing the tire, the thing that always haunts me to this day is that jack. Every time a semi would come by and that thing would move, the jack would make this noise. This jack would make this groaning noise like, I'm not going to hold this much longer.
Brings the little scissor jack up underneath.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But to your point, the thing of it is if there would have been an exit closer,
right,
I probably would have kept going and got off on that exit. But it was on the passenger side, and I pulled off to the right, so I was on the other side. I wasn't on the street side, on the highway side.
Right.
On the highway side, I see people changing their tire.
Oh yeah.
And on that street side, and they're kind of hanging out, and it's like they're taking their life in their hands because they're squatting down to change the tire. And It is. It's a dangerous situation, and you don't want to put yourself in that situation. And sometimes you're better off, like you said, Lee, just if you ruin the rim, you ruin the rim.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
But it's better than having something tragic happen.
we covered this part about the flat tire thing, but there's other things that could happen.
Oh, sure.
Your car can overheat.
Sure.
Your check engine light starts flashing. Your battery dies. Your alternator's not charging, and all of a sudden your car just shuts down while you're moving along.
So look, the real reality is, if you're faced with making a decision like that, like you're talking about, the car shuts down. That's one scenario that is probably the most dangerous of all. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: if you're traveling and you happen, to have an opportunity to try to veer it, you've got to do what you can to try to get it to a safe area.
Hopefully you're not in heavy traffic when that occurs.
But it doesn't always happen.
Absolutely.
And then the other thing is, if you are, because and we've all seen this, we're driving down the freeway and all of a sudden traffic comes to a halt and you're like, what in tarnation's going on? Everybody assumes that it's an accident or something, but it may just be a car that is stuck or broke down on the highway.
Yeah,
and here's the thing,
rubbernecking.
you guys, the first thing though that they tell you, and I've seen this over and over again, and I had to try to wrestle with the logic. Do you stay in your car or do you get out?
Well, so here, you know what? Here's the thing I wanted
car, in my opinion.
No, you get out. You get away from the car.
Well,
it's like a dang target.
Yeah, right. Well, and let's talk. Hold on a second, guys. Let's talk about something. Let's help our listeners out here. Let's let them know what are the things that they should pull over immediately, and what are the things that, hey,
I like it.
Let's limp it to the next exit and get off of there. But to your point. But before we get started on that, to your point, you're absolutely right. The thing of it is if the car ends up dying and you end up getting stuck and you get it off the side of the road, get out of that car and climb up the hill, get away from it, because you're right. If somebody's coming along and they're not paying attention and they're on their phone and they weave over and they hit your car, you're going to be in the middle of that mess.
Yeah.
You want to get away from it. So let's start by, we had, I think Glenn and Brett brought it up here that a flat tire. We talked about a flat tire. Now, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about on that flat tire, and we kind of covered a little bit of that. Was number one, and you brought up the point. Look, if there's an exit, another 50 feet up the road, and you have a chance of ruin the rim. Ruin the rim. But you want to be in a safe spot, and you said it, on level ground and a safe spot to be able to change that tire. But there's one thing that I wanted to bring up on this, was that once you change the tire, let's say that you get to that spot, you change that tire. One of the things that's very important, and I tell all of our customers and clients this, when you go to change the tire, make sure you get somewhere close by and have somebody torque those wheels.
You bet. Got to make sure those lug nuts stay secured, because in some cases, the lug nuts, and this is interesting. Sometimes people have put aftermarket wheels and rims on their car, and the spare was designed for maybe a certain type of lug nut, and the rim or tire is another type of lug nut.
Or there's a key.
Yeah. But when you're in what I'm going to call dire straits, or when you're at a loss where you need to get that thing exchanged or changed, it's also not permanent. That's the other thing I'd love for people to know. It's not a spare. It's not a permanent repair. That is a get you out of harm's way, get to the closest facility, something that's open that can help you and serve you and get you to where you can actually get back on the road and enjoy your adventure. You know what I mean? Because a spare it's not a permanent repair. And I think a lot of times we think, well, we got out of that one and we'll drive it. Even some of the temporary spares say, don't drive more than 60 miles an hour, 60, don't go over 60 miles. You know what I mean? On these things.
Well, and the other side of a coin there too is that, you should have someone check to make sure your spare has air in it.
Yeah.
How many cars have we had into our shops, and we're going through the thing on our inspection, and the spare tire is flat or it's blown?
And Glenn, that's such a great
people
point.
are driving around and they're not even thinking about, what if I get a flat tire? What's going to happen?
And it's such a great point.
We ran into this the other day. I want you guys to know this. We ran into this the other day. A customer had bought a used car.
Yeah.
Didn't bring it to us first. They went ahead and they just bought the used car, and they went and we happened to do an oil change in the car, and they told us they just purchased it. And one of my guys just thought, well, I'll look. And we checked the spare, like you said, Glenn. You're 100% right about that. The thing of it is people don't realize it, but you go to lift your spare up and it's blown. It's got a big hole in the sidewall, or it's flat. But you know,
or it's 20 years old.
Or it's 20 years old.
right.
But what we found.
No tread. It's hold there, but there's no tread on the tire.
Exactly.
Well,
So now you're putting yourself right back in.
Then you got yourself a little slick.
What we found out was the car didn't have any lug wrench in it,
Oh,
and it didn't
my.
have a jack. So the thing of it is yeah, oh, you got a great spare, wonderful spare, but you got no jack and you got no. So what are you going to do at that point?
And see now, Dave, I think this goes back to the pre-planning that you talked about on the trips. We're all of an age where we've done traveling on the road with our families. You know what I mean? Both when we were kids and now as adults. You know, as fathers and husbands.
And I think we've all done it the wrong way and the right way.
And there's and Dave,
have,
that is the point.
Yeah.
That is the point. Because you know what? Sometimes
I remember my dad going to checking to see if there was a jack in the car or a spare tire. You know.
I mean, how often do we pull the Tom Cruise and just like, okay, what the heck? Let's just get in the
You
car.
jump
and go.
in the car and go, and
Yeah.
I will say this: it's like the shoe guy. His kids have bad shoes. You know, it's kind of like, but you know, we're in the auto repair industry, and sometimes I think we kind of we kind of skip those things because we're so used to it, and we're just kind of immune to it. You know what I mean? And
or we're exempt from anything bad happening because we know how to work on cars.
Well, but to your point, it's kind of like we feel as though we have the answers for the things that we should be helping our listeners understand, and that is this. Check engine light comes on. Do you pull over? Well, the reality of it is you got to read the car. Let the car speak to you. Let it tell you. Is there any change in the way it's driving? Is there any change in the way it's going? If the car is still functioning and driving down the road, the check engine light is a yellow light, and it means caution. It means, get service as quickly as possible. I wouldn't pull over, unless now all of a sudden I see it flashing. Because see, you can't take a yellow light and turn it red. And the only reason they cause it to flash is because they're trying to indicate that there's a serious issue that is now causing damage to your vehicle. That's the idea behind the flash.
So that was a very good point, and I'm glad you brought that up because that was kind of where I was going next. I didn't know you were the car whisperer, but
I didn't either, Dave. Thanks, man.
Listen to your car.
Hey, you're
It'll
looking
speak to
better
you.
now, Dave.
Your car will speak to
Car
you.
psychic over here.
The car psychic. But to your point,
Whatever.
To your point,
You guys are absolutely insane, man.
You have to be.
we're not even
This
from
doesn't
Florida.
work unless you are.
So, but to your point, when that light is flashing,
Yeah.
that means stop,
It does.
right? And what let's just talk about a couple of things. Number one, what are some of the things that will make the check engine light flash?
The only thing that actually will make the check engine light itself flash is a runnability type issue where the vehicle, it'll be noticeable. You'll feel it. So the car won't be chugging. It will be non-accelerating. It will be, it has the potential to put you in harm's way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, the newer cars now will actually go into limp mode. They
You
will
bet.
allow
That's
you.
the
They're
point.
trying to preserve.
Taking the power away.
Yeah, they've engineered them in the computer. So when that light is flashing and it'll go into limp mode, and you're going to have to pull over because it's going to slow you down to 15
Right.
miles.
It'll give you a little bit to get out of harm's way, but it won't tolerate continuous
but
driving.
then one of the things that what happens when you continue to drive that car? How much damage are we doing to the car?
In some cases, it depends, to be honest.
Really does.
But it can be, if it's an overheating problem, I need to shut that sucker off and get over to the side because head gaskets are liable to be blown. And
They're fragile. And Dave, let me
all
just
aluminum engines now.
yeah.
Everything's aluminum block.
Let me address that for 1 second because I've said this before to several customers and to all of our people. But you guys, imagine yourself as a police officer and you're pulling somebody over. What is the most common thing you hear?
Do you have a driver's
Sir,
license?
have you been drinking? And you look right out.
How much do you get pulled over?
No,
Lee?
look. I'm telling you, look right up and you go, oh yeah, I've had a couple. That's the standard answer. Okay. When somebody comes in, they've had an overheating type of an issue.
Oh, yeah.
And you say to them, hey, listen, how far did you go, before you pulled it over? Man, I was only a mile. It's always a mile. It's never 13. It's never 3.5. It's never 2. It's always, I was only about a mile away. And you're going, okay. And so then, the difference is this, and I'll put it as simply as I possibly can. And that is, a mile is 5,280 feet. If you drive,
86 to be exact.
if you drive that mile, you've gone 5,279 feet too far. Because to your point, it's an immediate pullover. It's an immediate get to safety. That light has come on, and in a lot of cases, we don't even know how long it had been on before we recognized it. You know what I mean?
Because sirens don't go off.
That's exactly
And
right.
some cars companies have made theirs chime, but
and the real difference
they chime
is
once and then
Right. Well, and then the other thing is too, is the expense. What happens when you have a bad misfire in a car and you keep driving it?
oh man, you're tearing up the cats. You're tearing up.
You destroy the catalytic converter, and
bet.
that's a $2,000 job.
So at minimum.
Minimum. So
some are 5,000.
Right.
Some are
right.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, cats are not inexpensive anymore.
So
Yeah.
that's the point. Is that when that light is flashing, that needs to get your attention. You need to get over as quick as possible. Obviously, safely as possible.
You bet.
I want to say that, but you want to make sure that you get over as quick as possible and get that car shut off.
Yeah.
That's the point we're trying to make here. Like Lee said earlier, think of it as if the light is on. It'll come on. It could come on for a variety of reasons. It could come on for something that is not going to lead.
You could have left the gas cap off.
There you go. Gas cap.
At the last time you filled up.
So this is actually entitled roadside assistance. So what do you do once you're over on the side of the road?
Well,
you need to call somebody, get a tow truck.
But how do you do that? See, there needs to be kind of a little format to that too. You need to understand as far as the preparation. Number one, you got to get out of harm's way. And that means get off of the highway if possible. If not, get over as far as you possibly can to where, just to your point that you're making earlier, you don't want to be hanging out if you have a driver's side rear flat and you're on the right side of the road and you're any portion of your body. I mean, I want to be 3-4 feet away from the line. Right. You know what I mean? Because literally, like you say, that jack will be swaying and the traffic going by. If you have cones or if you have flares or if you have anything,
or something,
get them out. You know what I mean? Get them out.
Put your flashers on, your emergency flashers.
Absolutely.
Get people's attention.
Absolutely.
So important.
The biggest thing at this point in time, before you just start pulling things out, make sure that you have all the equipment. In the case of a splat tire, make sure you got the tire equipment to be able to change the tire. Because you can pull the tire out and all of a sudden, no equipment, and now you're stuck.
Or you don't know where it is.
Or you don't know where it is.
Some of it is in hidden compartments on the side of the trunk.
You bet.
And to know your car,
don't sit in your car.
Before you leave, find out where is your jack. Does your jack work? Does it have a handle to crank it up or whatever?
And where to put
familiarize yourself.
And
Absolutely.
Where to put the jack? Where to put the jack when you go to? I mean, the last thing you want to put it in a spot where next thing you know you're gonna break something
the body.
more or do body damage or do some damage.
You bet.
So you want to make sure that you know how to use it.
Lift points.
Right, and what you have in the car and tools. It's very important because you don't want to find out on the side of the road. That's the worst time to find out.
Now here's the thing. We've talked a little bit about the check engine lights. We've talked a lot about, flats. What happens, like we've talked a little bit to some degree about a car that dies, but when a car's overheating, okay, literally, what is the protocol? What needs to occur? Because as soon as we recognize that car's, hot, okay, we can take literally a $400 repair and turn it into a $4,000 repair if we're not, precise in doing what is necessary for us to get done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that means pull over, stop. It's literally like a stop sign flashing. Stop. Right. It's telling us.
Help me. You just create a lot more expense for yourself the longer you drive that car.
But now here's the big key, okay? And I just want to say this because this is vital. You don't get out when the car is at its hottest point. We don't even do this in our shops. When the cars come in at hot, the very first thing we tell our customers, we need to let your car cool down before we're going to address any kind of concern with that car. Man, the first thing you want to do, and I don't care what kind of a hurry you're in or where you need to get to, or whatever else, you're going to be delayed, okay? You've now had an event, all right? And it's going to be understood by any other party, especially, those that you love are going to be uniting with, that safety has to be first. Don't open that hood, especially if you see smoke coming out from underneath the hood. Don't pop that hood and get underneath there. You know what I mean? You're asking for an invitation. You open that hood, you get that cold air, you have a burst line that gets all over you, hot. You're in trouble. Don't do it. Don't do
Now
it.
you're going to the hospital.
No,
and then your car's
no,
going-
don't take something
do it.
easy and make it hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely. The thing of it is if you're not experienced in automotive or what's underneath that hood of their car, Lee's right. You don't want to lift the hood and get yourself into trouble, because if a hose pops and it sprays you, that coolant, it'll burn you. It'll burn you good.
230 degrees.
Yeah.
Well, let me go over this list real quick here, because we got to wrap this show up here pretty soon. But we talked about the flat tire and the lug nuts, and that's another thing is just as important as we talked about torquing the lug nuts after you change and put the spare on there and get yourself off of the road. The most important part is when you have people rotate your tires, make sure that they torque the wheels. Don't let somebody take a impact and hammer those lug nuts on there, because when you're stuck on the side of the road, the worst thing in the world you want to do, you're going to fight to get those lug nuts off, and you're not going to be able to do it, because you're going to have a bar that's only going to be maybe a foot and a half long.
Right.
But you're just not going to get enough leverage to break those lug nuts loose. I don't care how strong you are.
And to that point, though, something you got to be really careful of. I've seen people do this, and guys, it's really, really dangerous. And doesn't seem like it'd be dangerous, but don't try to get your foot out there and stand on that bar, because if it does let go, I mean, that thing can poke right into you. If it doesn't let go, or worse, you know what I mean, it jumps you back or pushes you back out into traffic. I mean, it's not ideal, but you have to be able to, everybody thinks that this is the way, to get your leverage, and it's not. Straight up and down, 12 o'clock, pulling, that is going to be probably the most leverage you're going to be able to get. If it takes a second person, utilize a second person, but start in the proper position, from a pull instead of a push type situation in that particular regard.
Yeah, and the whole tire scenario can be avoided by 90% if you have your tires checked before you leave. Do you have a low tire? Do you have tires that are mostly worn out?
Yeah.
And the susceptibility of something, penetrating that tire and leaving you with a flat or a blowout, even worse.
Yeah.
That's where you got to start. Make sure your car is safe for travel, and all your fluids and everything's been checked before you go. And the tires are so crucial, because blowing a tire when you're going 80 miles an hour or 70, whatever, anything over 10 miles an hour is not good.
No, it's not.
So all right. So let's move on, though. Let's move on. I think I think we gave them some good information about the tires. A battery problem. Typically, a bad battery won't cause a car to die. But I mean, if you get yourself in a situation.
But Dave, the battery light was on before the car died.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well,
my battery's bad.
Well, yeah, but and the charging system goes.
That's a very misleading light.
It really is misleading. It's probably the most misleading light in the car.
Right.
People come in, I need a battery. Are you sure? Yeah.
Okay.
The light came on before the car died.
Right. And
for about 3 days.
Yeah.
So the thing of it is typically when that light does come on, usually there's a charging system issue.
Yes.
And the thing of it is jump starting that car at that point is not going to do you any good, because you can jump start it, it might run for a few minutes and
then
it's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that I wanted to bring up is that if you're out there and you think you need to jumpstart your car, make sure whoever's jumpstarting your car, if you don't know how to jumpstart a car,
do it properly.
Make sure you do it properly, because we have seen so much damage to charging systems, to electrical systems, to batteries. We've seen so much damage because somebody did it improperly.
I've seen people
they reverse the cable,
Yeah.
and it doesn't just damage the car you're trying to jump; it damages the one that's trying to charge the car.
Right,
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And it can be very costly. And to Lee's point, it can be dangerous too. I know
You ever had a battery explode on you?
No fun.
No
blow up
fun.
on me, but I've seen the aftermath.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it'll
custom-
burn you just like a cooling
It's
system.
acid.
I had a customer that
Sulfuric acid.
her daughter was over at school. She was in high school and driving, and her car the battery was dead. Somebody went to jumpstart it, and they didn't do it properly, and the battery did explode.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of kids that got acid dumped on them, so it was a bad situation. So you're right. Don't put yourself in that position. Get somebody that gets some help. build a relationship with your auto facility. You can always call us. We'll help you through it.
You bet.
Want to make sure that you're safe there.
You bet.
The cooling system, we talked about that. The overheating, no doubt. Lee is 100% right. Do not mess around with that. That coolant is so hot, and it will burn you, and
it sticks to you. That's the thing. It's
not like water. It's
not.
Like
it doesn't just
like
wash
oil.
away.
It's almost like an oil water mix. So
yeah,
you don't want to get yourself in that situation.
No.
Brake fading.
Yeah.
Brake pedal fading. Well, let's face it. We go to Flagstaff once in a while, right? We've all been there.
Yeah.
Coming down that hill sometimes, if you ain't
hit the brake. You know what that is? You know what they call that? You know why that brake fades like that? After about the fourth time you hit it, okay, it's called brake boil. Your brake fluid is boiling, okay, because it has too much water. That's what happens to brake fluid. It collects moisture.
It's hydroscopic.
Okay? It's hydroscopic ergonomic fluid, and it collects moisture. Now, we think out here in Arizona we don't have a lot of moisture. Well, that's a fallacy, okay? And the thing of it is, nowadays we can just use the test strips to test it to see, but people don't. It's kind of one of those overthoughts or oversights. We don't necessarily think about our brake fluid, but when things fail, what things fail? Well, the master cylinder fails. Is it because the rust on the outside? Of course not. Is the caliper, did it fail because it got wet on the outside? Of course not. These are all internal type failures because of the fluid, all right, and the contamination in the fluids. But to your point, we're coming down from Flagstaff or any kind of mountainous terrain, all right, we hit the brakes, we hit the brakes. The fourth time we hit the brakes, there's no pedal, and we're like, ooh, that's not exciting. And then the next time we hit it, you know what I mean, we got a little bit of pedal, right then and there.
Well, so that,
you're experiencing brake boil.
Right, and so to the point there that the consumer needs to know, and you want to make sure you get it pulled over, let it cool down a little bit.
Oh, you bet.
Let it cool down a little bit. And yeah, I mean, we've all had those feelings where the brake pedal got soft and you're just like, oh, am I going to stop?
Yeah.
So the next thing is the key fobs. A lot of people don't know that if their fob isn't working, there is actually in most key fobs, there's a key inside of it.
Right, a hidden key.
A hidden key in there.
A fail-safe.
Right, so if you get in a situation where the fob isn't working and you're like, it's driving you nuts, and you don't know, and you don't have a battery there to change it or anything, and you don't know why it's not working. Yeah. There's a key in there. Pull the key, and that's another thing. Go to your service provider. We do that all the time for customers who come in, and we'll let them know when they get a newer car. We'll let them know that there's a key inside there, and we'll explain how to get it out. So if they do get themselves in a situation, that they can use that key, because that's what it's there for. Right. It's a fail-safe.
You bet.
Windshield cracks. I'm one of those guys that I tell my clients that if visibility is not good, pull over.
You bet.
I mean, because that's the most important thing is the visibility. I mean, we've all had cracks in our windshield. Let's face it. You're in there's
80% of the cars driving down the road have cracks in the windshield.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the big thing about the windshield thing is that a lot of people don't understand that the windshield is made out of 2 layers of glass. You got an outer layer, then there's a sheet of invisible plastic.
Safety.
And that's a safety thing. So when something hits that, it doesn't just shatter the whole windshield and throw all the glass into your face in your car. So, is it safe to drive? Yes and no. It depends on, how big the crack is, where the crack is, because the more towards the center that it is, the more susceptible it is for having more flex than where that windshield is broken. If it's a crack in the corner, it's probably less problematic in terms of not going to cause the whole windshield to start moving a lot.
It is going to start spreading faster.
It will. It will start cracking because the rest of that windshield is moving. You don't realize it. You can't see it. You can't feel it. But it happens because the windshield can only be so thick.
And windshields are an integral part of the construction of the car.
Well, nowadays they got cameras in them.
Now ADAS, everything else.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean? Oh, yeah. So, no, they are definitely a more intricate part of it. And dash lights, we pretty much covered the dash light situations. I mean, we went through that.
To wrap up, everything is a process. You know what I mean? We do processes in our facilities. When you're going on a trip, have a process. First part of the process is get your vehicle inspected before you're going to take off on your adventure.
Yeah, you don't even have to do it
That doesn't mean
yourself,
that you're going to be trouble-free, because you could pick up something along the road and there's all kinds of things that could occur. However, if you do find yourself where something you have to make a decision, the very first decision needs to be, get out of harm's way? How can I prevent any further damage? You know what I mean? And if it's possible, you know what I mean, get out of harm's way, get off of the highway to the safest possible location that you can, even if it's a soft shoulder. You know what I mean? In some cases, you know, you may have to create more damage, you know what I mean, before you can make the correction. You know,
well, safety is the most important part.
No question.
The safety of the passengers, and to Lee's point, let's have a plan.
Have a plan. Yeah.
And then if you do get there again, I go back to this all the time. And my clients, they call us if they're on road trips with their kids and they're in California or wherever, or they're between here and California. If there's an issue or there's something that they're not sure about, they pick up the phone and they call us, and we'll tell them, okay, this is what we think. This is what we think you should do, and we give them advice.
Yeah.
So we try to keep them out of trouble. So have a plan. Have somebody you can call. Have and on your insurance, have roadside assistance on your insurance.
You bet.
When you go to get coverage on your car, it's usually only, I don't know, $5-10 a year. It's not very much. Anyway,
right.
You can get roadside
cheap
assistance.
Insurance.
Cheap insurance. That way you have somebody that can come get you if you need a tow. If you need a tow truck, you can get one, or they can change a tire for you. So, well, I think we got this. I think we got some good information out there, and I really enjoyed hanging out with you guys. But you know what? We got to shut this thing down. And
I would tell you this: if you are stuck and you are in a situation where the car is stuck and you can't get it into a safe way, get away from the vehicle at the earliest safe point. In other words, don't sit in that car. A lot of times we think it is the safest place. It really, according to all the statistics, it's not the safest place to be. You want to get up on that shoulder away from the car. You want to be able to observe the car. You don't want to leave necessarily the car. Make a phone call. If the car is obstructing something, please be considerate and use your phone. Call 911. Call some of the other, dispatches that would be able to help, facilitate getting that vehicle taken off of the highway or out of harm's way for others.
I got one quick thing, make sure that when you are taking a trip that you carry water and snacks in your vehicle.
Yes.
Because if you are stranded and you're in a situation where it's hot or you're going to be there for a long time waiting for a tow truck or whatever it is, make sure you have lots of water and snacks in the car.
And to that
point, I recommend a Auto Dave cookie.
Auto Dave, there you go. Dave, you don't have an Auto Dave cookie to show him. It's got Dave's image on it.
Well, Dave, I get a cookie.
Hey guys.
I didn't get my cookie.
You guys have donuts. Hey, so like and subscribe to podcastunderneaththehood.com.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.